the negative aspect of it, but we talked about more like the positive aspects of it, that it would bring in so much business. And then separate to that, we didn't talk about it, but side thought is that if it was that the business had too much coming in at first, the supply and demand, for me, given recent years, it just seems like that makes the product more popular and people don't even seem to mind to wait.
Yeah, so my feedback to you would be, no doubt thinking about the positive impact that can come, like lots of sales. Hint, hint, there's probably going to be some sales that take place here pretty shortly. That's great, right? But really why savvy entrepreneurs are going to think, well, what might, perhaps go wrong here? Or, even not just with her, but ourselves, looking internally, right, is really hard sometimes to do when you've got this, amazing celebrity in front of you staring you in the face saying, hey, give me one of your hoverboards, right? So something just to think about as we move on through the presentation, trying to look internally as if you're in my shoes of, well, how are we going to plan for when maybe there's a negative, right? Because we want to build a sustainable business, right? So won't give away too much. What next group wants to share what answer you guys came up with?
Let's see. Yes, I would take the deal, but there's one thing I want to know. Before releasing these things to internationally, did you test to see how long they would take to overheat and catch fire?
So we didn't do that type of testing personally. As a company at this point in time in the story, there is zero reason at this moment to think that there's any sort of fire issues, conditions that we have to think about or worry about with the battery. Again, as a reminder, right, we know that we're buying this patented device that has passed all the different battery certifications. There's all different types that I can get into the weeds on, but that have passed that. So we don't have those concerns knowing that we're purchasing such a high-end device. Is that clear?
Max.
Yes, go ahead, Eugene.
Letitia made a comment that kind of stuck, and that was, she said, you guys were young, which is not a sin, but the question that we kind of bounced around was what mentoring or what type of assistance or counsel
right
within the business world where you guys receiving.
Yeah, at this point, and look, it's a great way to think about addressing this question, honestly, right? Before you're going to maybe do business with a Kendall Jenner, do you have the right, whether it's legal team, right? Whether it's like advisory team, whether it's direct marketing team, supply chain team, any one of the teams that might be able to help position the business in a successful manner, right? If you decide to go ahead and work with them. So I actually really enjoy that type of response. I think it's really smart of you to think, okay, we're young at this moment in the story. What can we do to maybe get a little bit more wiser minds in the room, even if it's not directly, indirectly to assist that? That's a fantastic approach to answering the question. What about our last group? Was there an answer you guys wanted to share that might be similar or different to what?
Yes. Hearing everybody, my answer is very similar to Grace. I always thought about like the demographic probably would be like probably challenged in this sense, because let's say you give it to Kendall, right? The demographic we could probably turn into like a trend, and then the trend can rise, and as this program's name, it can rise and fall very easily in the community. Yeah. So, and that's what I was thinking, and we also thought that what else was it? The overall situation it's an opportunity, and it's a perfect opportunity. And to give her one is not really much of a risk, but I can't like tell you what you did, but like, as you know, I would think it's an excellent opportunity to gain promotion recognition for both sides.
Yeah, and look, you're absolutely thinking the right way, right? We're looking at this as this too good to be true type moment, as mentioned before, and you only get these types of opportunities once. If you're going to go up at bat, you've got to take a swing, and you're going to learn shortly how we swung and maybe how we connected, but then maybe how we might have missed a bit as well. But long story short, I think, most times than not, people say they want to go forward with this type of question, move forward with making a deal. But it's how you position the business, which you're going to learn about some of the downfalls that we experienced that could have, allowed us to, again, to Grace's point earlier, maybe look a little bit more internally at what we need to have in place maybe inventory-wise, maybe marketing team-wise, maybe advisory-wise, to be able to handle what's about to come next. So, we'll keep moving on with the story. You guys ready to hear what happens next? Or should we stop
Yeah.
here? We can stop
No,
here.
yeah.
I'm kidding. All right, cool. What happens next? Well, we, in fact, decided to give Kendall one free hoverboard. And Kendall got this hoverboard, and she freaking loved it. She gets on it, she can't get off of it. She decides to post a video of her on our hoverboard. And that video blows up the internet in literally less than 24 hours. Over 1 million likes. In less than 24 hours, over 50,000 comments. My phone that you see here on the screen would not stop vibrating for 48 hours straight with new notifications that you've earned a new follower, you've earned a new follower, you've earned a new follower. Literally, Funky Duck is accumulating thousands of new followers overnight. This is the video that Kendall posted. Take a look. Maybe you guys have seen it before from years past. It might be a reminder. So she gets around turn number one. Turn number two. Now watch what happens on turn number three. She gets a little too cocky, okay? And what does she post in the caption of this Instagram post that blows up the internet? Got too cocky at Funky Duck. That was the caption of the post. So literally overnight, we turn into a global phenomenon, global sensation. Kendall Jenner just promoted this ridiculously cool device on her social media, and the whole world now knows about it and tags us. So our company starts accumulating thousands of followers overnight. And so what do you think happens next? Well, it turns into a domino effect. I think Brandon made a mention of a guy named Justin Bieber. Well, all of a sudden, Justin Bieber hits us up the next day and he's like, guys, Kendall Jenner has a hoverboard. I need a hoverboard. And then our friend Jamie Foxx says, guys, if you guys give me a free hoverboard, I will go on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show next week and shout out your brand on national television. Chris Brown, J.R. Smith, the popular basketball player, former New York Knicks player. I know we probably got some Knicks fans in the room like myself. J.R. Smith during the 2015 NBA Finals literally says to us, if you give me a free hoverboard, I will ride into the locker room during the 2015 NBA Finals on national television riding your hoverboard. Wiz Khalifa, Kevin Hart, Ryan Lochte, you name it, a huge domino effect of all these celebrities, their agents, them directly, their friends, reaching out to us directly, saying, Kendall's got a hoverboard, I need a hoverboard. And not any hoverboard, a Funky Duck hoverboard. So what happens next? Well, I said it, then it actually happened. This is James.
So Funky Duck. That's for real? Yes, a Funky Duck. So you want to try it out? It's the I can't get off. Slow down, man. Like that.
National television, Jamie Foxx rides into our hoverboard and does exactly that. Next, I mentioned a guy named J.R. Smith, 2015 NBA Finals. This is ESPN and NBA TV before tip-off. Check this out.
Those folks are ready to go. So apparently it's J.R. Smith. This is how you arrive from the airport, apparently. He hasn't exactly been rolling in the finals so far. He's shooting 34%, but happy to be here nonetheless. Oh, man. Don't beat Mr. Getz.
Okay. 1 hour before that video goes live on national television, on his Instagram account, J.R. Smith goes, thanks so much at Funky Duck for giving me my first free hoverboard, okay? So he posts that on his Instagram with whatever 10 million followers or whatnot, and then that goes on national television. You probably are wondering what happens next. Well, I will tell you. All of a sudden, huge companies like Amazon, Staples, the Dallas Stars, they're reaching out to us. They're saying, this is the coolest freaking device ever. Can we get them to sell in our gift shop or to sell in our stores around the nation or on our website, Amazon, just a little somewhat well-known e-com brand? TV shows start reaching out. CNBC says, hey, we'll invite you on Closing Bell. We'd love to interview you and show off your hoverboard. Shark Tank Who likes Shark Tank here? I'd like to think a few of us are Shark Tank fans, right? Okay. Shark Tank producers reach out to us and they go, Max, you guys want to skip the line, pass go, collect your $200? We will put you on the show next week if you just say the word. Literally, that's what they say to us. You can cut the line and appear on the show next week if you want to. Modern Family. Now all of a sudden, major press, Time Magazine, Bloomberg, Business Insider, right? All these press outlets want to cover us and do articles on us. And they start writing articles about us, in fact. And sales are soaring, right, guys? So guess what? Someone mentioned it before, positive momentum. I'd say so. Over $1 million in sales in less than 8 weeks with extremely strong margins. So we were selling the product for $1,500. It was costing us about $500. That is a $1,000 gross profit, right? A 66% gross margin, right? So you've got these really strong margins on a really strong quality device and over $1 million in less than 8 weeks. Pretty fantastic. And so you guys must be thinking, Max, you're probably gonna retire in Florida, right? I mean, you live in Miami now, probably at 25, you just picked up and left. Start drinking some pina coladas on the beach, right? Like post up in Miami and just call it a quits. To hell with it. We're 25 and let's just call it early, right? We'll just sit back and just collect, right? You think that's what happened?
Well, you wouldn't be here if you did.
Well, I would say Brandon might be slightly correct. Not that I wouldn't be here, but that problems actually took place. So I think what Brandon was hinting at.
I was going to say, you'd probably still be here trying to help us, though.
I completely agree with that notion. So yes, fully in agreement on that one. But my friends, this is only when the problems begin. What are some of those problems? I'll tell you. The first relates to where we were buying our device, but it wasn't for those different battery or fire issues you were referring to before. It was that we were extremely low on inventory, right? We're giving out all these free hoverboards to celebrities. We got all these sales coming in the door every day, phone ringing off the hook, people wanting to order, people emailing us saying, I want to order now. This is the coolest thing ever. So we're extremely low on inventory. But there's another issue popping up. There starts to be these different copycat products popping up. You kind of go to Amazon.com and you see a device with 2 wheels, and it looks nearly identical to ours, yet it's half the price of our device. You guys are based in New York, most of you. You know about Canal Street. You walk around Canal Street, you see some devices. I mean, they look to be like only $300-400, and they look very similar to ours. So we're starting to see some copycat products pop up.
You know
And
that.
some of our customers. Hey, Brandon, I'm just gonna I want to keep moving. You want to just post the questions in the chat?
Okay.
I want to just be cognizant of time. Thank
Okay,
you.
then.
So sorry. But I'll happily answer them at the next breakout session. Customers are worrying that whether or not they're gonna receive their order, right? And so some of those early customers who are purchasing the device, they'll call us, they'll say, hey, like I saw something on Alibaba for $750, should I be buying that one or yours? Et cetera, et cetera. So customers are just getting a little skeptical, wanting to know what the difference is or when they're gonna get their order if they pay for it. And so you might be wondering what happens next, but this is where we get to our second cliffhanger session. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. Brandon, we can start with you. 2 minutes to ask any questions that will give you additional clarity on the story. And then I'm going to again break you up into breakout groups. You'll get 5 minutes to answer